Till a man created a fake restaurant on TripAdvisor and asked around for good reviews. Eventually, the fake restaurant was the #1 restaurant in London, and was being called up hundreds of times daily for bookings. For a day, the man set up a cafe in his backyard and served frozen food to rave reviews. This guy has done a few similar things, including wearing counterfeit jeans from a Camden Market stool and getting them endorsed at Paris Fashion Week, and sending lookalikes onto TV and public appearances because he didn't want to go. He tried to test the limit of how far he could twist the appearance of the other people, and at one point even got away with sending a woman. They weren't counterfeit, it was just a brand created by the guy selling them at the market to make them look fancier. Giorgio Pviani. They weren't counterfeit, just knockoffs. The brand is Giorgio Pviani, meant to be an Armani knockoff. It's London's top-rated restaurant. A restaurant that doesn't exist is currently the highest ranked in one of the world's biggest cities, on perhaps the internet's most trusted reviews site. On TripAdvisor's website, the company says it dedicates significant time and resources to ensuring that the content on TripAdvisor reflects the real experiences of real travelers. So I get in touch when the whole process is finished to ask how it is that I've managed to sidestep the rigorous checks. Generally, the only people who create fake restaurant listings are journalists in misguided attempts to test us, replies a representative via email. As there is no incentive for anyone in the real world to create a fake restaurant, it is not a problem we experience with our regular community, therefore this test is not a real-world example. All that matters is perception. I had a TripAdvisor review for a hotel removed because I never stayed there. Apparently taking pictures of the room when I go in didn't mean anything. My friend and I went to Santa Cruz for a concert and got a hotel room because we didn't want to keep driving after, on a trip to visit his brother in Slough. One of the beds was terrible, burn marks all over, and it smelled funny. The bathroom door didn't open easily because the knob wasn't even screwed into the door, it was missing one screw and the other was halfway out. The window in the bedroom didn't shut all the way either. It just sucked. My buddy and I ended up sharing a bed because there was a party or something across the street. And because that other bed smelled funny. Kind of like a mixture of urine and pesticides. That's interesting to me that TripAdvisor removed your review. I contested a review at a hotel I worked for. A lady who used our meeting room left a laptop charger. When we couldn't find it, she accused us of theft and put it on top. The meeting facilitator notified us that he recovered the charger and was returning it to her. She refused to remove the review because she didn't like how we handled her complaint, false accusation of theft. I asked to remove it and they refused. This thread is telling me one thing, and that's that TripAdvisor is an absolute joke. The problem with sites like TripAdvisor from a business's point of view is that when people leave negative reviews they often do so without context. I work in an airport hotel that recently got left a bad review by a guest, just general, bad service, poor rooms, etc. What the review failed to mention was that by poor rooms he meant that he was annoyed that for £69 his room didn't have a super king bed with silk sheets and a jacuzzi. No kidding, he actually was shocked that he didn't have these things in his room. The hotel is 3 stars, and by poor service he meant that I couldn't move him to a room which had these things that he wanted. Some people seem to not just want but expect 5-star luxury treatment for the cheapest of prices. Another problem with review sites is that many people only leave a review if they are unhappy. All the people who had a normal stay at your hotel don't take the time to write "this was an acceptable hotel." I've actually seen people write on Yelp, 1 star off because their store is too far from my house. Online review business is tricky. Who would have thought? Honestly, I've seen hate against every single review site one way or another. Extortion, incompetence, favoritism. I think the problem space is just fucked. Whoever does it will get some hate and some shit will fall through the cracks. Goddamn, Facebook handed over private messages of millions of people and that hasn't gotten people riled up, and one bad review gets people frothing. It's just our psychology. If you think that's bad, stay far away from Amazon. It's interesting. If you travel a lot and talk to random strangers who are also on vacation, TripAdvisor comes up a lot. So does Yelp. The thing is that TripAdvisor is often seen as superior to Yelp, but there's no reason why it should be. The reviews are no different. You need to read many reviews of something to see the pattern of whether the rating matches the reviews or not. But that's the thing, in the era of Yelp, TripAdvisor is been seen as the better, more trustworthy site, when in the end it's the same. Also, as someone who gets shown hotel rooms all the time, honestly it's up in the air whether a review gets removed or not. Literally some person decides if they should or should not do it, on both TripAdvisor and the business side. There's never straight honesty or transparency, which is why there's always room for a new site to beat the old sites. GeoCities-MySpace-Facebook. Netscape-IE-Firefox-Chrome-Firefox. AOL-Yahoo-Ask Jeeves-Google, Quora, other specialized sites. And many more examples. Just like Yelp or the BBB, you have to pay them to remove the negative comments. BBB is a load of shit, really bad. Fucking Lamar Ball at it again. I don't work for TripAdvisor, but I am acquainted with several people who either currently do, or have until relatively recently. This comment didn't sound right to me based on a prior conversation with one of them about the differences between TA and sites like Yelp, so I reached out to some of them just now to verify. They were all pretty adamant that TA doesn't extort like this. How it was explained to me, being a TA verified owner of an establishment makes it easier to remove fraudulent reviews quickly, but it doesn't cost anything to be a verified owner, or to challenge a review. If a review is challenged and then deemed fraudulent, not bad but fraudulent, it gets removed no matter who challenges it. TripAdvisor doesn't remove crappy reviews just because a business owner asks them to or is paying TA money for other services. This Vice article apparently caused a fuckton of work for a couple of these friends, who are still salty about it. Edit, 3 words. Pretty cool of you to put effort into digging deeper. I just happen to assume all rating sites are really just extortion with extra steps. Thanks for the info. Unless you are TA. Haha, I swear I'm not TA, just have heard enough from folks on the inside to think, wait a minute, when I saw the comment. I'm sure TA is evil in its own way that my friends don't talk about, though. They probably serve roast baby in their cafeteria, or sell everyone's email addresses to Nigerian princes. Wink with tongue sticking out. Being a TA verified owner of an establishment makes it easier to remove fraudulent reviews quickly, but it doesn't cost anything to be a verified owner, or to challenge a review. Yelp is the same way. Reddit is full of people saying it's pay to play, and they are 100% wrong. That said, the outsourced advertising salespeople Yelp uses to harass business owners are absolutely terrible. They will tell business owners they can get bad reviews removed if they buy ads, even though it's not true. This is just not true about Yelp. Worked there, being able to remove bad reviews would have made my job a lot easier. Uneasy face, maybe I'll remake the review again then. I'm guessing you weren't buying enough ads. It's amazing how much better they treat you, and how thoroughly they comb the TOS to help you remove a review, when you're in for at least $50,000 per annum. No ads. How big is your hotel that you're spending that much on ads? I was at a 129-room hotel. More than 20 hotels. The geotagging of your picture was probably off from where the hotel actually was, either from GPS drifting or just not having location on. I read on Solo Travel that almost all the top review sites for hotels, excluding Google, remove any comments that mention bed bugs. That might be why. Ugh. Thank God it didn't have bed bugs, at least not in the bed we spelt in. My friend actually spent 5 minutes scouring the bed and sheets for bugs. He used his sleeping bag still, and I had my blankets under me. As soon as we got to his brother's place, we threw it in the washer on hot with borax just in case though. 0/10, never going to random ass hotel like that again lol. It is not a problem we experience with our regular community, therefore this test is not a real world example. You fucking what M8? Generally, the only people who create fake restaurant listings are journalists in misguided attempts to test us. We have no excuses, in fact, we have absolutely no vetting process whatsoever, so we will just say it's you in the wrong. Thanks for writing that. I think the TripAdvisor bubble will burst soon. I think they had a rebrand or redesign of their site, so they know things need to change. The rebrand is part of the problem. They didn't rebrand to just make it look a lot cleaner, they rebranded to change the structure to favor listings they effectively now own. Anyone who refuses to cut them in on sales is effectively no longer visible using internal links on the site. What that does is make the content worse. TripAdvisor is basically unusable anyway. It's such a shame when a big company fucks with their algorithm methods for profit. Basically, under the things to do category, the content shown up front is now only Viator products. It doesn't even show the TripAdvisor listings. Everyone thinks they're on TripAdvisor and they're just staring down barrel of another company's sales platform. If you want to find the best reviewed tours or attractions, you need to go digging for them. It's no longer about providing the best info, it's about providing profitable info. Where you are pretty safe is where you Google a company to check them out, that will likely show you their actual TA listing and you can read the reviews. Just don't book through it. Edit, sorry, tired, I thought you were asking why it makes the content worse. I am a manager in a high-end hotel, I've worked in many other hotels, and more than once have I dealt with concierge, bellmen etc. who would create fake TripAdvisor accounts and then review the shit out of themselves. The stay was horrible but Brian was wonderful. If it weren't for Brian we wouldn't even consider coming back. But because of Brian's exemplary motherfucking service, we're coming back. We were going to leave and never come back, and then Brian really turned shit around with his friendliness. The hotel was terrible. The rooms were terrible. The food was terrible. You know who wasn't terrible? Brian. Brian is the best person who has ever graced this earth. I hope they give Brian a raise. They'll post multiple reviews like this and then next thing you know, it's Big Brian Fest. And you notice they are all new accounts posting these reviews with no photo or identifying information. People do this all the damn time. It manages people's expectations, like they know Brian is the best bellman in the history of bellmen. Then people read the reviews and they're like, oh, Brian, I've heard great things about you. And the guest would already think Brian is the best person ever, and they would tip the shit out of them. Brian's would get $500 tips in a day, sometimes more during busy season, due to this strategy. I've even had to discipline Brian's like this because not only do they take away from the other deserving employees, but they also tend to be really reckless. For example, Brian is supposed to drive a shuttle to and from the airport, but now Brian is driving people from West Palm to Miami for a drug deal on the DL. The amount of work that took, he could have had a restaurant, haha. Also, food in London is shite, so it was microwaved egg rolls or jelly deals. One in TripAdvisor means shit, sadly. I visited some of the number one, and every time the restaurant looked like shit and was expensive. The food and service was mostly bad to okayish. I've actually learned to avoid them. Europe though. That's literally the entire point of what he did. To shop that, not only do you not have to be good to be number one, it turns out you don't even have to actually exist. There is a barbecue restaurant where I live. They have an opening time and close when all the food is gone. It's a brilliant marketing strategy. People line up before opening to make sure they don't get turned away. You can even call in a large pickup order a few days before to ensure you get your party platter to host your exclusive brunch or whatever. The food is absolutely terrible and barely warm. It's a walk-up line that you carry your metal tray with a paper lining on and then seat yourself at picnic tables inside the restaurant. They even have plastic silverware. No wait staff, you get your own drink from the soda fountain. They are only open 4 nights a week and it's packed every night. Absolutely brilliant. Basically they're just open peak time, have no wait staff, no dishwasher. But since you can't go whenever you want at your leisure, you cater to them. Who trusts TripAdvisor these days? The serving frozen food to rave reviews part isn't completely accurate. The concept of the pretentious elite lying to themselves about frozen food doesn't really stand here. The sample size that actually went to the restaurant is way too small. This experiment demonstrates the fakery the internet marketing system lends itself to, as the positive reviews tricked people into believing the restaurant worth trying, but does not really prove that many people would believe frozen food to be quality food through hype. Only a few groups went to the opening night and only a few people out of those said they would like to book again. Had more people experienced the restaurant in real life, the real quality of it could have been recognized by many. I saw the short documentary. It was hilarious. I applaud this guy for doing this. I hate this so much. For a day, the man set up a cafe in his backyard and served frozen food to rave reviews. And how do you know he didn't just fake his real customers as well? If you are already lying about everything, you can just go the final step to create an interesting story. Nobody is going to read and then the restaurant got shit reviews because everyone realized it was crap. Also, his name makes him sound like a Teletubby. Fuck's sake. Who didn't know this? Like every freaking post on Reddit, every freaking post. This is probably the first time one of these have been posted that I already knew about. It's such a hilarious story. Well, to be fair, 90% of the restaurants serve experience, not food. Food is usually simple and there is only so much you can do to make it special. If that guy teams up with Nathan from Nathan For You, I'm not sure what they can't do. They just might trick the entire world into a WW3, or something like that. At least they will be able to trick the UN into admitting their make-up country. Should have set up the cafe in the center of an active volcano and raised the average IQ of London by 1%. Another example of people being sheep. And no, I'm not being edgy. It's crazy how many folks have their opinion influenced so easily. I'm not sure if I believe you or not. Your score was hidden on this comment, so I can't decide yet. It's at -12. Oh, well, I guess you're just plain wrong then. Winky face. Those stupid sheep never think for themselves. Unlike us. We would never be fooled by the likes of this. You think I can't tell when something has been microwaved? I could do a blind taste test no problem, because I can't even taste microwaved food. If he'd put as much effort into actually opening a restaurant as he did promoting a fake one, he would likely have a very successful restaurant under his belt, as opposed to a cool story. That's not how anything works. Because someone is good at one thing does not imply they will be good at something totally different. Though it is disconcerting that running a good restaurant and convincing people you run a good restaurant are completely unconnected skill sets. Almost like perception is reality. Spooky. They're connected, since running a good restaurant is a good way of convincing people that you do. It's just not the only way. It's the same people who know most wasabi is just horseradish but think they are special and get real wasabi in the US and Europe. It is amazing what people will convince themselves of. No, it's not. Most people don't know there's a real wasabi and are perfectly content with the horseradish stuff. They either like the wasabi they know or they don't like it. How is this similar? I am referencing the last line. For a day, the man set up a cafe in his backyard and served frozen food to rave reviews. This recent till thread comes to mind with lots of people saying how they know the difference and have gotten it plenty of times. The point is they are both self-delusion. Yet I just don't think it's delusional for people to think the wasabi they're familiar with is wasabi. That's not what I am conveying. There's a subset of those people who know wasabi is rare and they say I know most wasabi is fake, but I am special and I know where to get the real stuff. Often insulting the plebs who aren't on their level. Those are the people I am referring to specifically who have tricked themselves through self-delusion. But real wasabi is different. And now you've edited your original comment so none of this makes sense. I'll just give you the benefit of the doubt on this whole thing because I guess I don't understand what you're trying to say, but you seem eloquent enough. I did it since the downvotes lead me to believe your interpretation of what I said was commonplace. If I say something controversial and mean it, I'll take my downvotes because who cares? But I'll try and avoid an argument over a misunderstanding. Thanks for watching. If you could like, subscribe and comment best Reddit stories for more Reddit videos.